Welcome to SML Total Access, the official podcast of the Sim Madden League. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello and welcome to SML Total Access. I'm Primetime 000, and with me today is Matt and a fill-in, a backup. Nobody wanted him here. Nobody even thought about him being here, but he's here. Double Rice No Bean, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Hopefully my coughing doesn't come at too bad of times and it ruins the whole video, but I'll do my best to hold it in till I'm muted, and we'll see where we go.
Yes, hopefully
Don't get me sick, buddy.
Hopefully the new variant isn't transmittable through the internet. Let's move on to the first down on SML Total Access, and we're going to talk about RD undefeated. Hey, a lot of people were saying that RD was kind of crap now, and QB stud looked like he's kind of gaining form, but over the past few weeks, it's kind of been the opposite of that. And Matt, you were kind of saying all along that RD's, hey, don't count this guy out, and it looks like you might be right.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing with RD. He's always been a really good player, and I feel like, he's always been in that elite status, even in leagues I played with him before. He came into the SML, and I felt like he was elite status, too. He won a sim party last Madden. He had to take a break for personal reasons and then comes back, and the game's just different. Doesn't really cater to using a safety. He's got to kind of reimagine how he can play defense. But I believed in him. I was starting to lose a little faith because I thought, gosh, I think by now he should pick it up. But he's right back in it, and I think this is real. This is not a fluke. I had him in my number 5 on my top 5 last week because I just hadn't seen him beat anybody yet, but now he has. He's got some big wins under his belt. So I'm excited for RD. As for QB stud, I mean, this guy's QB dud. It was the opposite for me. I was a big fan of this guy coming into the season. I thought, the way he played at the end of last season, and then when I played him even early on this season, week 2, I barely beat him on a last-second field goal. He was making better reads. And I thought, McKay's 1-1. He beat Meats. I think he's got a chance. But, God, he's just getting pounded. Big losses to the Cardinals. Big losses to, he was down $1 million to Colt. And that ended up being a sim. So, yeah, RD is back, and QB is not coming back until Madden 23.
No Bean, what do you think, bud?
So, I kind of have the same answers. I definitely think RD is back, coming off of what was, to me, these are the first times I've ever seen him play. It didn't seem that great. I think he was under 500 for at least 2 of the seasons he was back. And then at the beginning of the season, I thought it was just, he had the last place or third place schedule, and he had some easier games. But then he ended up beating, I think it was the Browns and then the Ravens almost back-to-back weeks. So you got to really respect that. I mean, he's beating his division mates, and he's 8-0. Can't really say he's not doing well right now, And then for QB, I'm not going to say QB's bad because he did just beat me pretty bad the other day. But he said he was going to go undefeated in the regular season against people that weren't in the division. And I think right now he is 1-4 outside of the division or something like that. He lost to the Broncos game, which I'm pretty sure we all saw. The stats didn't end up counting, but I think it was like 10-40 or something extreme. Up next, he's got like the Saints, so we'll see if that game gets played. But then after that, he's got to play D-Muse, which I don't want to say it's a guaranteed loss, but it's going to be a tough one for sure. It's going to be his toughest out-of-division game this entire season, so we'll see what he can do there.
Yeah, for RD, and I was last show I had said, hey, it's kind of impressive. You don't want to down a guy. He was kind of sucking really the previous seasons, and he's beat the guys he's quote unquote supposed to. But now he's got the signature wins, and you got to tip your cap to him. He is back. As for QB stud, I played him twice last season, and in the second game I found him to be much improved, and now the wheels have fallen off the bus completely. He blew a lead against Gutta, gets trounced by NYT, gets trounced by Colt, gets trounced by me. I mean, he's just lost. Lost offensively, lost defensively. I thought he might make the playoffs either this season or next season. I just don't see that happening now. Yeah, that's all I have to say about him for now. He's just not back. Moving on to second down. AFC East, NFC West. Your life is on the line. Which division are you picking to have a team to finish above with a 500 record or above? One team. No Bean, which division you picking? You have to pick one.
So my immediate thought was to take the NFC West. You got the Mutt cards over there, and the division I think is a little bit better. So you definitely have the backups. You know, you have Spooky who might play well, but I mean, it's early in the season. That's normally whenever he starts to kill it, and then he normally falls off. So I wouldn't expect him to do anything crazy later in the season. But just taking a look at my alternative option here, the AFC East, I think you immediately have to look at Woods, but he just lost to Mike, and then if you look at his schedule, he's still got some pretty tough games left. He's got to play the Browns, he's got to play Colts, Raiders, Steelers. I just don't think I'd put money on. Well, I guess not. I wouldn't put my life on Woods winning out because he would have to win. He would have to win at least half of his remaining games because right now he's 5-5, and 4 of those 7 games are pretty top tier guys. So I definitely would not take the AFC East, and I think that's probably your only option there. So I'm gonna have to default to the NFC West.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I looked at the AFC East. I thought, Woods might have a shot, but I noticed the same thing. He's already got 5 losses, and I can count at least 4 on his schedule. I mean, he just barely beat KJ, so I think he could lose any game, but I count 4 pretty much for sure losses. So he was really my only candidate in the AFC East. So I looked at the AFC West. They got a tough schedule too. But I look at NYT and I think, okay, he's got an advantage over probably everyone in the league as soon as the game starts, and that's because of his team. I think maybe Bomber's the only team he could play where he might not have a clear advantage roster wise. He's only got 2 big dogs left in Faz and NYT, or excuse me, Faz and I can't remember who else
QP.
he plays, but QP, that's right. So those might be 2 losses, but then he's, he can drop one more and still finish 9-8. So my life on the line. I mean, honestly, if my life wasn't on the line, I don't really want either division. But I'm going to take I'm not going to take the AFC West. I'm going to take the Cardinals. I think that's out of the 8 teams, that's the only one that has a chance.
Yeah, I'm agreeing. I'm taking the Cardinals. He's got 3 games against his division opponents. He's got the Rams, 49ers, and he's also got the Seahawks. He plays the Titans team that's struggling. He plays. He's just got a better chance. Unfortunately, I think I might get killed. I think that I'm going to pick one of these teams and I'm probably going to die. I don't know if NYT is going to get above 500. He's probably going to get right at 500, and my head's probably going to get cut off. Unfortunately.
And the tricky thing with NYT is he going to be able to play all those games with his work schedule? That's the tricky part.
Yeah. So we're all probably going to die. Moving on to third down here. Which SML owner are you most happy for this season, and why? And Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think for me it's got to be RD. He finally got his Raiders, pre-blip, and he's in a great division, and then personal reasons had to force him out of the league, which you don't wish against anybody. Then he comes back and he struggles. He's struggling. He only played a handful of games, I think, pre-blip, and he was actually pretty decent, I thought.
Yeah.
And he comes back and he's just a total shell of his former self. He wasn't even competitive in a lot of games especially against guys he should be destroying. So I think I'm happy to see him kind of right the ship. RD is not the kind of guy that, win or loss is going to really change how involved he is in the league. Whether you listen to his streams or not, and he gets all riled up, that's just who he is in the moment. But at the end of the day, I don't think he really cares too much. But it has to weigh on him to have so much success for his entire Madden career that I've known him, which is 8+ years probably, and then struggle. So I think it's got to be RD for me. Just being 8-0 and getting wins over Bomber and QP after all that he's been going through, I think I'm happy for him.
No Bean?
So I definitely think that RD is a contender for me, but I took it a different route. I didn't have much time to look this up, but I could be wrong. But I think since the beginning of this cycle, Finns hasn't had a winning season at the end.
Yeah.
And right now, he is 5-5, and I think 4 of his last 7 games are certainly winnable, potentially 5. So I think he could end up being either a 9-8 or a 10-7 team, and I think Finns has been working hard towards that. Joining the Thanos Club, stealing some of the good plays, and I think he has a chance to have a winning record this season. I could be wrong. He could have done it in the past, but I'm actually super excited for Finns, and I hope he does it.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, he's gonna blow that.
That
He's
was
gonna blow it.
that was one of my picks was Finns, but I'll change it. No Bean. I'm surprised he didn't take the Bucks.
No, he just beat me. Can't be happy for him.
Yeah, hey, screw that guy.
Yeah, screw that guy. I hate the Primer Posse.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna take Grams. Last season he was literally one fair sim away from an 0-17 record, and he's 5-3 right now. And he's playing decent ball. I know last or 2 seasons ago he started off well, and the wheels fell off the bus. But at times last season, it seemed like Grams was ready to hang it up and just be done. And he traded his Dak Prescott away. It really looks like it's worked out for both teams. RD's back, and Grams is playing. He's playing revitalized, having fun again, which I think is important. And he's winning too, 5-3. So yeah, I'm just happy to see Grams. He's not quite in the playoffs yet, but he's right in the thick of things, and I think that's good to see. So
Yeah, I've got one more honorary mention. He's not here to defend himself like I had planned, but I'm going to go with Dan. He had the Chargers pre-blip, and he was in a tough division. He never really did anything. He causes the blip, gets out of that division, goes to Atlanta, and he's seen a lot of success. So I think I'm happy for Dan too that he finally got out of a tough division into a one where he could have some success.
yeah, I agree. I'm happy for Dan. Let's move on now. Fourth down here on Total Access. And No Bean, we'll start with you. If you could trade teams with one SML owner, which owner or which team would that be? And I'm going to add another variable to this. You can either completely swap teams, like, hey, you could be, I don't know, you could be the Browns and become the Browns owner, or you could just trade rosters. And let us know why you decided to do this, or which of the ones you're picking.
So I took about like 5 seconds to think of this one because I knew my immediate answer, and it just makes too much sense. I would switch with Tiny just for a season. Definitely a downgrade at the roster. I'm not gonna even pretend, but I think we both get teams that we like more.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd be too upset swapping from the Pats to the Titans. And plus, I've been wanting to try Sears for so long now. Everyone says he's so horrible, and I just want to see how bad he is. I tried to trade with Fig. I had a trade in place, and then he quit in the middle of the night, so never had the opportunity for that. Aside from that, I think I definitely get an easier division. I don't have 3 potential guys that can beat me. I think Mike would still. I think I'm like 0-1 against Mike this cycle for some reason. I think I've only played him once. But I definitely think him, Woods. I think I've beaten Woods like 3 times, so I think I could take that division.
Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, put me in the AFC East. Let me take over those Bills, or just take my Jags into that AFC East. Kick Woods out, and I'll run the table on that Weenie Hut division. But if I could switch rosters, I look at NYT and I think, gosh, that roster. You got the ultimate user, you got Freight Train, you've got Freight Train with speed, you've got Kyler Murray. But I don't know, I just don't play that. I don't think I play well enough, or I play a style that would really take advantage of those. So I look at someone like Bomber, who. If I had that roster, I'm certainly not going to say I win any Super Bowls or anything, but I think that defense alone, I mean, that's my bread and butter is my defense. If I made any mistakes this season, it's not getting any interior line help. He's got Kenny Clark. He's got Joe. I mean, you know what that line is. Give me that defense, man. I just played against it. It's everywhere. I made plays that I know I can make, and his team had guys that could get to the spot. And so, I would rather trade into the AFC East and just run the show there, or just give me that Browns roster.
For me, again, it would be either just completely swap ownership. I'd either want to be the Cardinals owner because the division sucks and the team's the best team in the game. Or I would go to Kansas City because there's no way I don't win a Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes, of course. But I'm thinking I would like to switch rosters but keep my division. I would want to switch rosters with Bomber. Quarterback wise, I have him beat, I think, still. But the rest of the way, the Browns team coming out the box is just loaded. They got speed at receiver. They've got a great running back. They got a stacked defense coming out of the box, and then he's added to it. Give me the Browns, and I think they fit. They kind of complement my style. Maybe I think they're just an enhanced Colts team, maybe. But let's move on now. Extra point, Matt 5. Matt, what do you got?
Yeah, so a little bit of a shakeup here. And then the first shakeup is the GOAT is back. At number 5, we've got you, Prime. This was a tough one. You and QP have the same record. I could make a case for either one. But I feel like QP, he's lost most recently. You lost early, and it's kind of like college football. If you're going to lose, you lose early. You've reeled off some wins, and he's had some recent losses. So I went with you. You're right back on top of the division. I think you're playing good football. I think the thing with you is you're only going to get better. We've seen QP kind of sputter. Now it worked out fine last season because he ended up in the Super Bowl. But sometimes you get a little bit worried about him. You don't know what you're going to get. At number 4, also, I believe making a return is Faz.
Wow.
Again, a guy that just keeps on winning. He hasn't really played anybody yet, so it's tough to really say he's a legitimate 4, but I mean, it's Faz. You know what he is. You know what you're going to get. Right above him for now is Dan. Again, Dan has only got one loss, just like Faz, but he's got the signature win. He did beat you Prime week 1. He's also got the signature loss against Tiny. Tiny's only win, but that was a dev game, and Dan historically drops those actually. So a little bit of a surprise there, but knowing that Dan had a dev game, I'm going to excuse it a tiny bit, no pun intended. At number 2, I've got Dom. This guy was my number 1 last week, and no fault of his own. He hasn't done anything wrong. He's beat the guys on his schedule, but that's the problem. He really hasn't beat anybody. I mean, he's meets his punching bag at this point. I mean, I feel bad. It's just. I mean, they could be a Matt and Prime rivalry, but they're not because Dom just whoops them every time they step on the field. But Dom's quietly undefeated. He has a job starting here in a couple weeks, so that's a little worrisome. But right now he's undefeated. And then at number 1, this was my number 5 last week, and I was just saying I need to see something, and it's RD. I mean, how can you not have him at number 1? He's beat everybody in his division. He beat Monty, Bomber, and just beat QP by 2 scores. If he's not there, it's criminal. He is the clear best player in the league right now, and until he loses, that's the case. So we've got 2 undefeated teams left in RD and Dom. I'm curious to see who lasts the longest there, but RD's playing the best football. I don't know what it is. It looks the same to me. I don't know if maybe Dak has been the missing piece, but RD is back. He's on top, and watch out AFC because he's a force.
Yeah, I think that's a solid list. It's hard to argue that RD he's undefeated and he's got a few signature wins now, back-to-back wins. But the schedule does not lighten up for the Steelers. They've got the Lions, Browns coming down the pipeline. They got to play the Ravens again. They got some tough games, so we'll see. RD's going to have to keep that up to win the division for sure. As for Dom, I think he's a good number 2. I just got that. I'm doubling down that Week 13 game against the Colts. Dom, I hope you're still undefeated for it because I'm going to take that O away, and I'm going to win by at least 14 points. And if I have a chance to run the clock out or, with 2 minutes left or score, I might just take the score and take the suspension. I'm going for 14 plus. Guaranteed, book it, write it down, pen, pencil, Sharpie, whatever you want to do. Dom, you're going down, job or not.
I believe you. Actually, I think you'll do that.
So, thanks, Matt. No Bean, do you want to close this out? Or do you got anything to say?
Just with reference to your top 5 there, I was looking at the standings while you were going through, and I realized how many 7-3, 7-2 teams we have. It's actually kind of crazy just looking at the standings. So. Yeah. I'm not sure if they're the bottom of the league is probably there's a bunch of 1-8 teams, but it's nice to see a lot of this top tier stuff, and I think there's 3 teams in the NFC, and then there's probably 5 in the AFC. So it's interesting. I think playoffs are going to be really interesting these next 2 seasons. For
sure, it's a good time, and obviously AFC playoff picture shaking up. We got Monty back in the race. It looks like Mike, if the season ended today. No, never mind. That'd still be Woods.
No.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, Future's back in the dance. We got some good stuff going on in the SML. We're halfway through our second to last season. That was Matt. That was No Bean filling in and doing a great
thanks
job.
for having me.
Yes, excellent job, Matt. We appreciate you on the show. As always, I'm Prime. Everybody, thanks for listening, and have a great day.